Ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at my February budget for 2022, and it is a very tight one. If you have watched my January budget, you understand why. And the reason I'm sharing is that you learn from my mistakes. Okay, so this is my February 2022 budget, and if you've watched my videos on budgeting, you know that I have these three major categories that I look at when it comes to budgeting, and that is the fixed expenses, the variable expenses, and the savings or the investments. So those are the three main categories, and under each categories I do have subcategories. Yeah, and I spoke about this one on the budget categories, the video on budget categories. I'll put a card for you to go watch it if you have not watched it. And for the variable expenses under the money allocated, you can see that it's blank because it's really tight. My budget is very tight. Yeah, and it happens. I'm hoping what it is, it won't be a repetition even for next month. So under the fixed expenses, what we have there is food, and food I have 800. So under food I have food and eating out. For eating out I allocated 400. Despite my budget being tight, I end up taking my family just to go and chill. Yes, there are situations like that. The budget is tight, but you still do some of those things that will eat out the money. Yeah. And the rentals, this is just an obligation. If you're renting, really there's no reason for not paying. You just need to find a way of paying. Yeah. And I have, where I'm residing now, I do have to also look into the utilities that I'm using. And under debt there, you can see that I have the mortgage, the student loan, and the electrical connection. So for the mortgage and the student loan, really the money I did not budget because it doesn't reach my account. Well, the money is just deducted there, and it goes without even reaching my account. So that's why I'm not budgeting for it. But I'm faithful, by the grace of God. I've been faithful in servicing those two. So I'm just hoping that once my mortgage is paid, I'll be able to clear my student loan as soon as possible. Yeah. Yes. So that's my fixed expenses, and from the fixed expenses, I'm already at 4.5, which is if it was just this, it would have been okay because I'll be at 50%. But it's not like that because under the video on my January budget for 2022, which I'll put a card for you to see, I mentioned about not creating sinking funds, and that costed me because when I went home, that's driving 1,000 k's, I had to fuel the car, which I had not budgeted for, and as a result, that created really a dent on my budget. And obviously, coming back, I needed to fuel the car, and this time around to really also service it. So the category that really suffered under the February budget is the variable expenses, because like I mentioned in my other video, or those you can live without. So I ended up taking some monies from my variable expenses and then using them to really try to cover my transportation, that's the fuel and servicing the car. Yeah. And then there's also the baby care, and as the result, that just transportation and baby care, it amounted, the total cost was 5,150. And if you add 5,150 plus 4.5, I have spent my my budget already. Not my budget, I've spent my salary there. That's 9,650. That's 100% goes to fixed expenses, and this is a typical example of living paycheck to paycheck. And it is something that you need to avoid by all means, as I'm also trying to avoid this by all means, because really the entire salary cannot go for fixed expenses. But there are circumstances that happen that are beyond our control. But by all means, now that you have learned about sinking funds, you have to start now saving towards those expenses. Like in my case, I need to start saving towards the expenses such as transportation, because I know I'm going to incur them. So beginning of the year, that is something that I have created that I need to honor. I might not be able to start paying towards that the, under the February budget, but March there's got to be a difference altogether in my budget. So like I mentioned, I'm showing you this so that you learn from my mistakes, as I'm also learning. Yes. And so what happened under the, as I mentioned, some of this thing under the variable expenses, like things like the household supplies or the toiletry, it means that the toiletry plus the household supplies will have to share money from the food, and we will survive, even if it means eating cabbage for the whole of maybe 2 weeks. Who cares, you know we should start not minding of what other people are saying, and mind how we are budgeting our monies. Yeah. And for the one thing that I'm always big at is the savings and investments. In one of my videos, I even say that don't touch the savings and investments. But in this case, really, I flopped. I flopped because of the reasons that I gave, the money that I used that was not supposed, that I did not budget for. But what I was able to do under the investments is actually to invest on I have the book project that I was doing, and I'll create a video on that one. I was able to save for my little girl's education fund, for family savings, and the residential. It's not a lot of money, but it's something. It's the start. So yes, always in your budget, do something that will result in you making money. Always on a monthly basis, do something that will create income for you. That's the essence. Okay, so under sinking funds, I have the emergency fund, and the amount still remains. That's 8.6. I intend to have saved that by the end of the year, but I intend to do it faster because it's very, very important to have an emergency fund. Yeah? And for now, because I've seen what the trip did to my January and February budget, I also have created sinking funds for the trip and everything that is associated to that trip. Yeah, so I know now the amount that I need to save. That is the little amount that I need to save that will help me to reach these targets by the end of the year. And that is if we will reach to see live to see December by the grace of God. So that's the money that I intend to save towards the trip. And as for the savings, I've retained them as they are, and I have this so much of the savings because I intend to also hustle, do some side hustles that will help me raise some of these monies, because really just on my salary, this is just it's might be too much for me to accomplish. But you know what, we'll see. That's you aim higher so that when you fall, you have accomplished one or two stuff. Yeah, so that's my February budget. And yeah, So that's my budget. I thank you for watching, and I hope that you have also learned one or two things, and looking forward to interacting with you. And please do subscribe if you have not subscribed, because I still have the intention of reaching even 100,000 subscribers end of the year. It's far-fetched, but it's not impossible. I just need to put more effort. So please, if you have not subscribed, do help me out by subscribing. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video.